Welcome to Negotiating Happiness, the show that helps you find happiness, success, and balance in your work and life. I'm Adriana Fierastrau, your host for this journey into entrepreneurship and personal growth. We're broadcasting live on 107.7 and 105.3 FM in New Orleans as part of the United Public Radio Network. We explore the latest strategies, insights, and stories from successful entrepreneurs and experts. From managing stress to building a thriving business, we've got you covered. Good afternoon, everyone. It is Monday, June 12th, and I am Adriana, your host of Negotiating Happiness, and I am here with Lorilei Potvin. Thank you so much for everyone tuning in. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And please check us out on our network. There are a ton of shows that are also live on Roku TV. If you don't get a chance to tune in with us today, right now, please log into YouTube or Facebook or Twitch and catch our replays, or even SoundCloud if you're just driving and want to catch up on our episode here. I am so excited. Thank you so much, Lorilei, for agreeing to come on. She is one of the hosts of two other shows on this network, which is amazing. Big fan. She is a Canadian.
You don't have to try to remember.
No, I'm just doing the summary that we had. Okay. You're a Canadian clairvoyant medium, crystal Reiki master, energy healer, Akashic records practitioner, medical intuitive, spiritual teacher, mentor, internet radio host, podcaster, humanitarian activist, and registered nurse. Lorilei is also very knowledgeable about the paranormal, having lived in an extremely haunted home for 11 years. And she also shared her story on the Travel Channel's Paranormal Survivor in season 4, episode 9, called Demonic Hauntings. And there is a link to her episode in our summary. If you just wanted to go to the description, you could definitely check it out there. I've watched it. It is wild. I highly recommend, if you're into that stuff, to watch it. And Lorilei is also the host of The Angel Rock, which airs on Mondays, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And she's also the co-host of The Thing at the Foot of the Bed, which airs on Thursday nights, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time, with David Hanzel on the UPRN out of New Orleans, Louisiana. So, hello.
Hello. What a mouthful. That's why I said everyone.
That's okay. I enjoy doing that.
Well, thank you for having me here. I'm really excited.
I'm so excited that you have the opportunity to come on and tell us all about your amazing gifts. First and foremost, obviously, you are a successful entrepreneur, and we want to learn. And also, I want to kind of, open up this space of entrepreneurship to some of the industries that are not as well known, or that there's maybe taboos around them. Because here we talk about everything. We talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the great, the happy, the sad. So I want you to tell us everything that, like, I'm sure you get a lot of negative Nellies here and there that like to chime in. I want you to educate us. I want you to show us the wonderful industry that you're in, that I'm also super interested in.
Okay, so I always say I never went looking for the paranormal. The paranormal found me, but it's been around me my whole life. Even as a registered nurse, I always say I've been so deeply blessed to be there hundreds of times at the beginning of life, when babies are born, including being a mother myself. And I worked in the NICU, maternal newborn, labor and delivery. And then I went out into the community before even quality assurance was a thing. It was sort of just coming out. That shows you how old I am. I'm going to be 50.
No.
But so I did a lot of quality assurance here in Canada. One of the oldest community visiting nursing programs here, or companies, I guess, is Victorian Order of Nurses, who I worked for. And so I did a lot of technical stuff, like setting up central lines, chemo in the home, and what have you. But one of my really wonderful things that I loved was palliative care. and being there at the end of life. And I still am very passionate about that. And I always say I've been so deeply, deeply blessed to be there at the end of life as somebody's loved one, usually my patient as well, transitions, as I call it, going back home. I've also studied near-death experiences for over 40 years, professionally as well as personally. And I believe I've had a near-death experience as a toddler. Now, why do I share all this? What does this have to do with spiritual business? I guess what I'm trying to say is that a lot of unexplained, unusual things happening during my nursing career. I ended up hurting my back. I had a patient. It was an old trailer park here. I live in Thunder Bay in Northwestern Ontario. I always tell people it's kind of almost in the middle of Canada. It's about 6.5 hours north of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I went in the side door of this trailer, and the patient, I went in for a dressing. And I always say it's not my job to judge, but it was like a little hoarder house, a trailer, a little trail to go do the dressing. And I asked if I could go through the front door. It was closer to my car. And he said, absolutely. And I always carried a big bag. There's a reason why I'm telling all this, to get to business stuff.
No, for sure. I'm interested. I'm hooked.
What happened was I stepped out, and there was a rug, and he had a giant hole in the front landing of his steps. And I fell through and shattered all the discs in my back. Life changed in an instant. I had planned to go back to be a nurse practitioner and medical school, and I've never been able to return back to work. This was years ago. I had a little one, 15 months old at the time. He's now an adult. And life changed. So what happened was I've always had a very active mind, and I was literally almost bedridden for 20 years with the back issue.
Wow.
And you being a mom of a little one yourself, can you imagine laying there? And I had in-home daycare. My husband at the time had brought him out. We ended up finally settling on going to a daycare center, but I couldn't do anything. I couldn't look after him. TV got old very quickly. So I started looking at, what can I still do while I'm laying on my back here and be able to keep my mind busy and keep learning and keep growing. So I did a lot of research actually into a lot of different businesses, and I looked into, I've always believed that if you love what you do, it's never a job, right? When you're excited to get up every morning and do what you're doing and connect with the rest of the world and be passionate about what you're doing. So that's kind of where I went with things. And I looked into a lot of different opportunities that I never would have looked at. I taught myself, nowadays we'd laugh at it, but back in it's about 2008, 2010, I built my own website. I taught myself computer programming language. It's ancient
amazing.
now, I will tell you that. I also learned how to format computers, and I won an iPhone. Believe it or not, I'm going to tell you all these things. Kind of led me to all this stuff.
That's amazing.
Before it came to Canada, they were in the US. Didn't have a clue what I was doing, and ended up through research and looking, was able to get it working. And actually did a podcast before podcasting was called podcast. 3 guys from across Canada talking about technical things. But where my passion was, and it always has been, is creating. Like, I have to be using my hands. I can walk in a store and see this, and then see it as a picture in my mind, what to create. So that's where I started looking at the business things. Like, what could I do still? Like, how could I contribute still to society where I would feel useful, still feel joyful about what I'm doing. And it kind of led me to, that's where the web programming came in. I made my own website and what have you. I started creating dog accessories and pet accessories and jewelry and what have you. So that's kind of where my interest started going, and looking into different business standards and how do you attract the audience that you want, and so on and so forth. Long story to get to the answer, but
no, that's amazing. I just it's amazing how necessity drives you to your passions. And I feel like sometimes people don't understand that. It's like everything happens for a reason, but if you purposely look too hard, you'll miss it. It's like you get off at the wrong exit, right? So you could have easily spiraled down and just been like, okay, I guess this is it for me. And you didn't.
Yeah,
And you
this is it.
didn't. Yeah.
Mhm.
You could have easily just went, okay, what is the first job that I can do to provide? That's it, right? But instead, you took that extra step. You found the resources, you did things that were scary at the time. Not everybody was podcasting, not everybody was, doing their own websites, not everybody was coding, it's
Mhm.
amazing. And
Mhm.
it just shows you too how quickly things can change once you,
In a second.
like
Mhm.
in a second,
Mhm.
all this could go away, right? So it's an amazing story.
I think it's
And
how you look at it, though. I wanted to add one thing. Okay, so
yeah,
I was always told I'd never have children, and we went through quite a process. I
right.
actually also ran, I'm not, it sounds like I'm making all this stuff up. I promise I'm not. I also started an infertility support group before I seriously hurt my back, because it was quite a
Yeah.
journey to get pregnant with my first son. My second son, people will think this is crazy. I was getting acupuncture for my back, and all of a sudden, everything seemed to be working properly. And I remember asking the therapist coming to my home, could I get pregnant with this? And she said, well, I'm not treating you for that, but possibly. And I literally went to see a back specialist. I remember this. He was supposed to be one of the best in Canada at the time, and him telling me, that we're moving forward a little bit here. So my eldest would have been almost 2. And I was in Ottawa, and he's telling me that basically my life was over as I knew it. I was never
Wow.
going back to nursing. And I burst out bawling, and I'm not a crier. And he goes, well, that's weird, because I've never seen somebody cry, me telling them they don't have to go back to work. And I was like, I loved what I did. But even
Right.
more so, what was heartbreaking is he said, you'll never, ever, ever be able to have another child again. Enjoy the one that you have, because that's basically all you'll ever have. Well, guess what? I was pregnant with my second son when I was there.
Mhm.
And looking back, and I think this is a lesson we can all take, regardless of what field we're in or what business, is I look back now, I never knew I was going to have my last child and second. He's got severe autism. And looking back now, I have seen many a parent in my field and many professional fields that have had to quit their profession to
Right.
stay home with this child, because I mean, the school calls 8, 10 times a day. If there's something wrong with your child, if they're acting up, you got to either go calm them down or bring them home. And I
Mhm.
looked back and I went, you know what? I think there was a bigger plan for this, because I was able to be there for him. Am I making the money I would be as a nurse? No. But I had a regular pension coming in every month, and it allowed me to be there, and I needed to be there. But I think there's a lesson to take from that, that when we go through some really difficult, awful things, like life had changed in an instant, and you look back and you go, hey, I know why that happened. Like that
Right.
there was a blessing in that. I didn't know I was going to have this child with severe,
Right.
disability, a severe disability. Mhm.
Wow, that's a lot too. That's very overwhelming to try and plan around. But like you said, it's amazing what
Mhm.
mindset can do. Like you're such a positive person, and you're
Mhm.
saying, the universe provided in the most unusual and painful way, but it provided for what I needed, right? So it's I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. You're running a
Well,
business,
people say that. Can I answer that for you quickly? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And I don't say this with any sarcasm or any unkindness in any way. And I appreciate when people say that, but I don't have a choice, right? And I love
I
this saying.
know, I
No,
know.
but I love this saying, and it says you never know how strong you can be until strength is the only thing you've got.
Yeah,
And it's like, look at that sweet little person you have in your life. There is nothing, I guarantee you, that the world could tell you about that little person that would change the way you feel about them, or you're going to make it work. You're going to deal with it. You do. You
for
have to.
sure, for
Mhm.
sure. But what I'm saying is like, of course, your love as a mother is always going to come first. Always. I don't have a doubt in my mind about that. I just
Mhm.
mean like you're so ambitious and you run your own business
Mhm.
and you have 2 radio shows. Like again, like
Mhm.
I'm just using you as an example because we had this episode about, the power of positive thinking kind of
I
situation.
embrace it. Yes.
Right. And you just full on like decide that this doesn't mean that I can limit myself in other areas. Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
This doesn't mean that I don't have time to develop on the things that I love doing, or the things that do provide for my family, or my love for my kids and the time that I get to spend with them, which is amazing. And I say this to all the entrepreneurs that I talk to. I have a lot of mom friends that are my age, and we're all new, we're all learning, and I say, I know a ton of women who started businesses like yourself when it wasn't that common to do that. We are now benefiting from that, right? Where we are able, it's not that, it's not as uncommon to hear, oh, you're a young mom and you're running a business, like you should stay home. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't always happen now. And I'm
cheap. Plus, you know what? You didn't have kids to have somebody else raise them. And I get
exactly.
it. You don't have a choice. Like I hated that I had to especially send my second one to daycare when I'm home, but he needed to be socialized with the autism, right? So it's not cheap. So if you could have the best of both worlds, and what I like about you, and I've told you this, I've talked about you on my own show everywhere, you have liquid gold with this show, teaching people, I believe, how to work smarter and not harder. And especially as a mom with young kids, and even though my youngest is 25, he is very much, with no disrespect, like that precocious age of 5 to 7. I can't leave him alone. I got to do his cooking. I do all his personal care. I mean, everything you do for a child that age. He still plays with toys. He still believes in Santa. And I mean, he's just such a blessing. But where I'm going with this is that this is I think for people, like with what you share, and you really give away liquid gold with this show, that I think, especially as women, because we do take on the bulk of everything we do, whether we want to or not, we do. And I'm not bashing men. There are single parents that are dads out there that do the same.
Yeah.
But the point is to be able to find shows like your own, or to be able to take some of this information that you've had the people on that are sharing what they're doing, or yourself, that you really can have it all. You really, really can. And the one thing I keep hearing, and this is coming from spirit, you'll hear me say that being a clairvoyant medium, is stay away from Pinterest, especially young moms. I mean, I love Pinterest, don't get me wrong. And I know spirit's being facetious, because we're always comparing ourselves to what we see others doing, like our Instagram or wherever, right? And something I learned, because I didn't have a choice when I was younger, was the dust is always going to be there. The laundry is always going to be there. You know, do the fun things that you need to do if you got to provide a living for your family, obviously. But you know what? Nobody cares. Your kid doesn't go to university and they ask, did you grow up in a messy house? Like, was their fingerprint? I'm serious. It doesn't matter. Like, you don't.
I'm laughing because
house,
I'm laughing because you can't see this in the frame, but I've got 2 loads of unfolded laundry beside my desk right now. But they've been sitting there probably for about 2 days. I'm not even lying to you.
I think
so funny that you said that.
It's so important to hear this, or what I always say, because people think when you're positive, I really do try to walk the walk of the talk that I do, I say. But you know, people think that I have a pet unicorn in the background and you know, rainbows floating around and everything. I have the same problems as everybody else. And I think that's what people forget, is we want to measure ourselves with what we see on social media. And I embrace social media. I think it's a great tool for media, for business.
Marketing.
I think that you have to know what ones to use and what our target audience is. But we have to stop comparing ourselves to what we see out there. None of that is real. It's not. And when you say, I was just going to have one other thing I was going to say. When you say to people, I'll say to people, do you know that people have the same issues and they think about the same things as what you think about? And so many people are shocked, and it's true. They just put on a different face, right? Sorry, you were going to say something.
No, I was going to add to your point about how it's all fake. I was just talking to somebody that is looking to open up their own consulting business. And I was just saying, so let's not forget that these influencers will literally rent out mansions just to create content. And you think that they live there, when in reality, they live in the suburbs just like you. You know, they go to the same grocery store, and believe it or not, some people still coupon. You know, when I was on mat leave, I was couponing.
I have a problem with it.
You know, like, it's funny how you see that kind of stuff and you're like, or you don't realize how close in proximity they are to you. You know, like you have influencers, it's like, oh my God, they're like, we literally go to the same grocery store. And people don't think about that. They think that they must have such a like glitter fairy, like yachts and parties all the time. And I'm like, no, I think they're giving you what you want to see. I think they're giving you what you would like to think that you want. But it's so funny because for myself, I never wanted that. Like
No, I haven't either.
if you ask me, and that might be my fault. You know how you say, like, if you don't want something bad enough, you're not going to get it. Or like if you're talking about manifesting, just like, oh, just imagine yourself already in there. Honestly, I imagine myself traveling. I don't imagine myself doing anything else. I don't care what car I drive. I don't care. Like, would I like a big, like, I live in a townhouse smack dab in the middle of the road.
I live in a townhouse.
You know, I'm like, would I like a bigger, like just a little bit of a bigger like house? Yeah, sure. Do I ever picture myself in a mansion? Absolutely not. Like, it's so funny what you think that those people on the other side of the screen do, but they rent fast cars just to do content. Mm-hmm. They rent mansions just
or
to do
ask
content.
People on the street. I've seen videos of that.
Yeah.
Like, do you mind if I just take a picture with your Maserati or your Lambo so that I can put it up on the
ground? Yes. Oh my God. Or
yeah, okay,
what I've seen.
We're going to tell you where I really learned where things were fake.
Where?
And I'm not saying this with any lack of gratitude in any way. One of my regular followers, Zach Mans here, I just gave him a shout out. Who I said hi to Zach. He said he's popping in quick to say hi.
There we go. Hi, Zach Man.
Yeah, he's awesome. I know you've ran into him in my chat.
I've ran into him in your chat and also on Michelle's show as well.
Oh yeah, he's support.
Yes, him and I have had it's so funny. We've had conversations through comments.
Oh, he's awesome and super knowledgeable. He's even filled in the first year. I'm going to my 4th year anniversary here. I think it's the end of this month at UPRN. And in my first year, he's even filled in when I've had a guest cancel because I've known him for so long. We had great conversations. He's so interesting to talk to.
Yeah.
But I was going to say where I found out where things are really fake and without a lack of gratitude. When we told Paranormal Survivor about our story, I'd contacted them and they said, do you think you could get down to Toronto in the next week or two? And I said, let me see if I can find a seat sale, because I said it's pretty expensive to fly last minute, as you know, living in Canada, depending on where you're going. And I told her our story and she said, they basically helped us. They don't normally do that because they wanted to hear our story. So they interviewed us for 6 hours, right? I brought pictures. I signed, everybody signed releases, the whole bit, right? The story that they told is not even close to what happened with what we went through. The only thing I would say is close is the ending, that it really did happen that way.
Okay.
Now, did they lie? No, but they have a story to tell in only so much time.
They embellished.
Well, they didn't quite embellish. No, but they made it sound like it all happened one after another. And like even the psychic that was in there, I'm not going to be giving anything away, but if people see this, they have reenactment. So everything I said and my partner Del said was true. But they, and the first time we watched it, we laughed. I'm sorry we did, because there's it was a female psychic actually that had come to our house, the first person locally, but she didn't want to be a part of it. We respected it, so they had me say key and what have you. So in the show, for example, and if you ever watch this, can you see what I'm talking about? So there's a girl playing me and she's so over the top. Like so over the top. I was, and we didn't talk to anybody. Like the first time you saw that is like when we saw it, when it came out, we had no idea what they were doing. So she's in the bedroom and the male psychic's in there going, demon, be gone, be gone. Like he's being so cheesy. And then all of a sudden he gets this look on his face and he like looks at the girl playing me, looks at her, and then runs out the door. And it's not radio friendly, but I basically said to my partner, Del, it kind of looks like he said, bye. I'll say, biatch, I'm out of here. You're on your own. Like you can see like a ballerina dance the girl was doing. And like it did not happen that way.
No. And you know what's funny? This is liquid gold for anybody that watches the paranormal shows. This is the standard. This is not the exception. This is the standard. And I have to say, because I've been on an episode of Haunted Case Files with Michelle, and I have to say, like, so everybody there was wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, they're amazing, and you're so
But I
grateful for the
remember sitting in
opportunity.
the chair and they're asking me questions that are very like dramatic because they
Mhm.
want a dramatic
You
response.
want me to cry, and I never
Yes.
cry, like,
I
never.
was asked, like, were you afraid that you were gonna die? And I wanted to
Yeah,
be like, I was with Michelle. I've
yeah,
been doing this for a long time. I'm like, no, I was not.
yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, it was pretty scary. I was just like, oh my God. I'm like, stop trying to elicit so much drama and fear. But this
Mhm.
is true. They do this. And
But
you
this is where I'm
never,
going with this point. So what we see
yeah,
out there, and then,
yeah,
even back when I was younger, I was anorexic for 2 years, like as a teenager. So, I'm a bigger girl. I'm tall. I've always been bigger.
too.
And you're seeing all these little waifs on magazines, and you're measuring yourself against
Oh,
this.
yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
there's this saying I heard, and I really try to remember it. And the only person we should be measuring ourselves against is ourselves the day before,
Right.
trying to improve on that.
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what anybody else is doing. You also don't know the other problems that come with the certain lifestyle that they live that
Absolutely.
you just never see on Instagram, right? Do I post the things when I'm mad or sad? No, and I do that on purpose because
I
I
don't
think
either.
you're just attracting more of that stuff and I just
Mhm.
don't need that in my life. Do I post? So I have two pages, like my personal and my business. On my business, I try to keep it business. Sometimes
Yeah.
I find little funny things. I'm like, okay, this would be appropriate for a business setting.
Mhm.
But at the same time, like it's my personal brand. So I do kind of try and embed like little bits of personality
Yeah.
in there because you're buying from the person. You're not just buying from my resume. Okay. Nobody asks for your resume in this space. They
No,
ask for
they
your
don't.
experience. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Nobody asks for your grades. Nobody cares, like it's about what you do and how you do it and how you come across to people. Right. So that's why
Yeah.
social media is so important. The other part is, my personal, I will post my child like all the time. If you don't like it, you don't have to follow me, but that is my personal space. It's also private. So like if you're not on my list, you're not seeing it. So and even on that, I don't post. Like sometimes I will really identify with certain causes, if
Yeah.
it's like dog rescuing or
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
when a lot of unfortunate events have happened
Mhm.
around you know things of race and discrimination and human rights. Sometimes I will post some of that because I think it's important to show that even us regular people care about it and do
Yeah.
see it, and it does affect. And I think being quiet sometimes does more damage than anything. So I do try and participate
Well,
in that
it's
way.
a
But
voice, right? Even
right,
if you're silent,
it's a platform, even though it's a closed platform. It's a platform, yeah. But I don't ask me how many times I've been frustrated or how many things are going wrong in my business or on my personal life. I will not post that because it doesn't do anybody any good, including myself. I'm just prolonging the healing process. Do you
I
know what I
have to
mean?
I have to agree with you 100%. And I always say, I try to remind myself I'm not perfect. But when, I say it's not my job to judge. But the thing is, and we all know them, like they literally have gone to the bathroom and told you what they've done in the bathroom, or every fight they've had, or every argument,
Do you
or
remember the
what.
Facebook statuses of so and so is watching TV? You're like, I don't need to know.
I've been on Facebook since it started. I had a friend tell me about it. It was one page, like just one page. That's all it was.
Yeah.
And yes, and I see people putting that on there. And I've done shows about this, and I always, people come on and do all these quotes, and I always, I think, like, I want to hear your own words, but these are things I've talked about. And the reason I said that is it's a meme, and it says think, and it's got 5 letters down the side, and T, is it thoughtful? H, is it helpful? I, is it informative? And is it necessary? And K, is it kind? And if not,
Right.
maybe think twice about posting this. And the reason like my profile, it was personal, no longer is, because there's so many people on there. And so my rule of thumb is, if I wouldn't tell somebody, a perfect stranger, about something, I don't post it on my profile. But I don't have young kids. If I had young kids, yes, I would absolutely be doing what you're doing. You want to celebrate your little ones. And, it's such a beautiful record of when they're my kids' age, and you go back and look and think, oh my gosh, I forgot they were doing this and that. But people that put this out here, and they don't realize that, and I'm going to get a little woo-woo here, as I call it in the light worker
I
field,
love
but
it. I love it.
like attracts like energy. And I think it's important to understand some of these things when we are talking business, because if you're going to put nothing but negativity out there, whether you believe in that or not, I have a bachelor's of science in nursing, so I always like to go back to science. And everything is energy. And when we understand that like attracts like, you are going to keep attracting more of that negativity. What we put out there comes back to us. I really believe it.
I'm really glad that you're saying this, and I'm really glad that you're also relating it back to not only spirituality, but to science, because we did have one of our episodes where we talked about this, and where we talked about how to basically get yourself out of this funk, right? Like how to pick yourself up, because again, embracing failure, that was one of the other episodes that I'm thinking of, where it's going to happen. How you deal with it will make the most difference. And I think you're such a great example in this positive mindset that you've got going, even when it's bad and when it's good, right? Because when it's good, you don't want to be like, oh my gosh, I'm the best, right? You're not like that. You're not that kind of person. And I love to see, like, that's such a great, I feel like so many people need that think method before they start posting online.
Because what I say quickly is,
Yeah.
like you said, if people don't want to see my child on there, first of all, I really believe it's called your personal profile for a reason.
Right.
Does
It's my
not mean
page.
invitation for people to come in and crap all over it and put word vomit. I'm sorry, but it's not. If you don't like it, scroll right on by. You can delete me, you can block me, or you know what? Go to your own page and have a rant. I don't want your crap on my page. I'm sorry,
That's
but
fine. That's fine. And you know what's funny? It really shows you that's when the universe gives you the opportunity to remove anybody from your life that does not serve you. So during COVID, I have to say, I don't even know if I can, everybody was having a rough time during the pandemic. That is a fact, right? But during that, social media was a madhouse, because everything was either in the process of getting censored or already being censored beyond belief. And now it's kind of, I think, slowed down a little bit, but not quite, depending on the platform, which also is huge, because it does impact business and marketing and how you can market things, especially if you were one of those businesses that were catering to the efforts of the pandemic to try to get out and whatnot. And on my personal page, people just felt like they could post their own personal opinion about it. And at the time, I'm like, that was not an invitation. This was a way for me to, like,
an invitation.
It's not an invitation. So that's when you boot them out. That's when you say, this does not serve my purpose and my life on my personal page. You're out. And you know what? My list got lighter, and then I never had to worry about it. Do you know what I mean?
And then you go
like
back to boundaries, like how you started the show. You said, like, do you get negativity? And I knew we'd get around back to this topic. Okay. So, okay. So no, I don't get a lot of negative people. And the reason why is, and we get back to boundaries. And this is okay to have boundaries. Like I said at the beginning, there's a difference between having empathy, and I'm still learning this. The universe keeps bringing it back for me to make sure I've really learned this, as well as, like enabling people. So, or feeling guilt. Like I always say, we don't just give birth to a baby, we give birth to guilt. I swear to God, we do, as a mom. It never goes away, right? But I think it's anybody, right? Especially if you are an empath or a really empathetic person. And, you get a lot of guilt about, well, maybe they're going through something, and, I just don't want to cut them off or whatever. But no, you have that right. And I often think about this question I ask myself. And I don't say it because I get people messaging me all day long, and I appreciate that. I really, really do. But when people are having problems, they'll dump it on me. Always, always, always. And I'm getting to the point now where I have to put them at arm's length, because I've never invited that. I've never asked for it. And I've thought, you know, why would I contact this person if I was having an issue? No. And then I
No.
start to think, well, maybe they don't have anybody else or something, but it's like, you know what I find? I just usually just give them the space and eventually they'll figure it out themselves, because that would be
Mm-hmm.
kind of enabling them, right? If I jumped in there right away, well, this is this and this is that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no,
Mm-hmm.
that's 100% right. Before we move on, I have so many more questions for you. I just want to do a quick station ID since we're about
Absolutely.
halfway through. So for those just tuning in, you're listening to Negotiating Happiness, and I'm your host, Adriana, and I am joined today by Lorilei Potvin, and we are live on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And you will also find us streaming on all popular platforms, including for other shows on the network. You'll see us on Roku TV as well. So check us out there if that's your preferred way of staying in touch. We're just talking about anything from, entrepreneurship, parenting, boundaries, social media, and getting little bits of, golden information about the paranormal industry and what it's like to run a business in there from Lorilei. So again, thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you for having me.
I was just gonna say, why don't you explain a little bit about crystal Reiki energy? Because I myself am not familiar in it, I'm wondering if there are other people that are in the same boat.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I've heard of Reiki and I've heard about the origin story, but tell us what you're
I'm glad you
practicing.
gave me the opportunity, because we were talking a little bit about it before
Yeah,
going on air.
yeah,
And the thing is, I keep saying this, and I do need to do this, is make a video to show people what it's all
yes.
about. So let me grab this guy. We'll grab him. No, I don't
Okay.
use this. You don't need to be in front of me. Again, going back to science, and you can look this up, especially when we get into quantum physics and things like that. They will be able to prove to you there is no difference whether someone's in front of you or halfway across the world when we're working with energy. Okay.
Right.
So normally I'll draw a picture, but we
So
have,
you do this remotely, just to make it clear.
yeah,
You do this
remotely.
remotely.
Yes, remotely.
Great.
And
Great.
it's effective. You will find it's effective. I've got lots of testimonials. We can talk about that. I know we'll talk about it at the end of the show, but lots of
Yeah.
testimonials and things like that. So what it is, okay, so we have 7 invisible energy centers running along our mid-core, if you will. And what crystal Reiki is I have 15 different Reiki symbols that I use. Okay. But when someone comes to see me, and I warn them, it's going to be long the first time you come see me. So you're going to tell me why you're coming to see me. I'm going to do a little bit of a history with you, what have you, right? And usually
Mm-hmm.
whatever somebody's coming to see me with, it usually shows up in one of their chakras or more. I usually almost always know.
So
So
is
the
that
reason,
what you call the centers of the energy? Those are your chakras, right?
yeah, chakras, or some
Okay.
people call them chakras, and there are many more than 7 energy chakras. Okay.
Interesting.
There's a color
Interesting.
associated with it.
Yeah.
There is, what do I want to say? So you go right from your root chakra right up to your crown chakra. I really believe that human beings are meant to live in balance. In a perfect utopia, we would be in balance. And I think that that's why on this planet we have hot, we have cold, we have dark, we have light, right? And when we're in perfect balance, including very grounded, I'm
Yeah.
sure Michelle's mentioned that, as well as we're connected to whatever your belief system is. Yeah,
Yes.
mine is God. Doesn't have to be God. Could be the universe. Could be, lots of people don't even believe in anything. And you know what? I don't get into that. That's your belief system. That's who you are. So with Crystal Reiki, I'm basically going, after the history, I'm going to check your chakras with, hang on, not this one, but it doesn't matter, with the pendulum. Okay. So I can't, oh, we got Latino Psychic Visions, one of our other shows here from the network. So welcome, guys. We got Roger and Faith here. They said hi. So, I don't have a vested interest, thank God, because I'm going to show you something with pendulums. I'm going to ask this to move back and forth.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask it to stop, just so you know, because if I had a vested interest, I could move this. I'm going to ask it to go in circles. I haven't used this one much. Usually it swings bigger. Stop. So my whole point is, if I had a vested interest, that's why I don't use a pendulum for other things. But with crystal,
Right. Right.
I just want to find out what's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask this pendulum. I don't use this one. This is a newer one, but I would ask it to show me yes, and it's going to move a certain way. And then I'll say, thank you. Show me no. So it's going to do that. I'm going to ask it to show me basically, I'm not going to have a lot of an answer. So maybe, so this is my maybe. Okay. So I know these signs, and I have a particular pendulum I use for crystal Reiki. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go, I call it my gingerbread man. It's a drawing. I'm going to go through with your permission and check each one of your chakras and ask them your chakra to show me whether it is balanced, imbalanced, or just kind of status quo, if you will.
Yeah.
And by that, mark it down. And I'm sorry it's taking longer, but basically I will go through each one intuitively and with different crystals, with working with your guides and mine. I will use different colors, and I have what's called a wand. I should have pulled all this stuff out before we went live. It's straight over
That's
there.
Okay. That's okay. I'm learning so much.
An ethically sourced antler from a friend of mine with crystal quartz at the end. And I will either direct energy in or direct energy out, as well as use whatever intuitively I feel in the way of symbols for you from the crystal Reiki symbols. And we're basically, the goal is to balance your chakras. So once I go through them all, I will then check them all again to make sure, once I've done all that work, make sure that you're in balance. And then I check your aura or your energy field. For people that don't believe in an aura, call it personal space, if you will. Somebody that you don't know well steps too close into your personal space. What do? Back up right away. We can feel that.
Yeah.
That's your aura. So wherever our joints are, or maybe we're going to have a problem starting that we're not aware of, or maybe we've got a really painful spot. It could be anything. I'm going to go through. If I got my selenite, well, here's one of my selenites here. My room's full of crystals. I wouldn't use this one per se, but I would go with selenite down your aura on each side and down the middle, and I'm going to seal any cracks or holes or anything like that I'm picking up. And the pendulum, I check it first, so I will know a hole. Then I ground all your energy, and that's the end of it. Then I tell you to please take care of yourself that night and that day, whenever it is. Drink lots of water, baby yourself, be good to yourself, get a lot of rest, because we're going to be moving a lot of energy. And believe it or not, it really makes a difference.
So tell us, what are some of the benefits? So let's say for somebody like me who's not necessarily stressed out with client work, but just stressed out with time and balancing everything, what would be the benefits for somebody? Because I can tell that a lot of entrepreneurs are probably going to be in the same spot. So what does that moving of energy do? I'm trying to appeal to the people that have no idea what this does.
So it depends where the blockages are, right? Like I'm already feeling intuitively, not that I would tell somebody till I would check them, but for you, I keep feeling like it might be solar plexus. That's kind of where we make a lot of executive decisions. And
stop.
Yeah. Also feeling a little bit in the root chakra, right? That's where we feel safe, we feel secure. Like I said, I would go through them all with the balance. And this is going to sound really woo-woo. Okay.
I love woo-woo though. It's okay.
But some people may not, right?
Okay, but then maybe that's not this, the platform for them. I'm just trying to show people
even going back to Eastern medicine, there's a reason why it works, because we have what are called ki or chi lines. Like I said, I believe human beings are meant to be in balance. I also believe, even as a nurse, the human body is perfectly capable of healing itself. But whatever we run into and we encounter, whether it could be a lot of stress, could be a lot of trauma, could be anything like that. But people don't realize how powerful their thoughts and their emotions are. So like there's a real, and this is said with no judgment in any way, but there is a real emotional component to a cancer diagnosis, for example. A lot of emotion gets stored, and people don't either deal with it, or maybe they don't remember that they've dealt with it as a child, right? So this can say help. I'm not saying I'm going to cure cancer. That's not what I'm saying. But it
no, but the emotions of it, that's a lot for your body to handle. And I'm always a really big believer. So the reason why I love kind of intertwining this show with all kinds of things and all kinds of entrepreneurs is because I genuinely think that science teaches us, which again, facts, everything is connected. So
Yeah.
that works for not just the physical, that works for the spiritual, for your mind. Like, for look at how 100 years ago mental health wasn't a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it's a thing,
And
like
now,
everybody. Yes, like now it's a thing, and we're just learning so much. And I feel like it would be very
well, what
closed-minded.
I wanted to add, I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
I just came to me now. You had asked me, how could people use this from a business perspective?
Yeah.
Maybe your business keeps failing.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not making the money you want to be able to make. Am I saying I'm going to cure all this? No. But sometimes we can get to the root of that, because the other thing I use that is not part of Crystal Reiki, but I will use it with it together in my practice. And it's right
Mm-hmm.
over there. It's called The Secret Language of Your Body by Ina Segal.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes through emotions that contribute to a lot of disease processes. So she goes through every part of the body. She goes through a lot of the disease processes that we run into. And she teaches people how to heal it with this book.
Mm-hmm.
So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, I'm going to talk about our friend Carrie Lynn, who's on, I think is it Friday afternoons?
It's Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay,
Yeah, the
Spirit
Spirit
Switchboard.
Switchboard. Yeah.
Okay, so she did a cord cutting session on Friday night, and I just happened to be talking to her right after, and I went to it. It was powerful, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But somebody was asking about something called Raynaud syndrome. And we were does anybody know what the spiritual significance was? I knew because Spirit gave it to me. So then we looked it up afterwards, and a lot of it was associated. So what I'm saying is, a lot of things that we're going through, whether it's emotionally, spiritually, energetically, whatever you may think, there's usually some type of physical reaction, is what I'm saying. And the whole point of doing this is kind of getting you back into balance and alignment. It's kind of difficult to explain until you experience it. But usually what I'm trying to say, where I'm going with this, sorry, I've got so much going. I'm not hearing voices, you guys, but I do hear my guts, is that there's usually like Raynaud syndrome, for example. People may not have heard of that, but what it is people, their hands, like if they encounter cold or whatever, their hands will go completely white and very painful.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost goes hand in hand with a lot of cases of things like lupus, for example. Okay, so we look at, why would your hands go cold and white? Like, why? Basically the blood vessels are closing off, right? So what Spirit was giving me, there's also a component to the personality. You could be very closed off. You could be putting walls up around you. You could be quite cold with, you know what I'm saying? So our body,
it's mind over matter. It's mind over matter, right?
But our body is telling us, our body will tell us kind of what's going on. Like just what you mentioned about the stress that you're going on and physical, like trying to get things done, right? And balance. So say you go into a meditation where your brain is quiet and you can ask your body will answer you. It's just, sorry, I'm looking over here at you. I should be looking here.
Yeah.
Your body will tell you what is going on with you. And it doesn't matter whether it's a mental health issue, what, maybe you're feeling really stressed, maybe you're feeling really stuck. If you're able to quiet the mind, even for a minute or two, just taking a couple deep breaths, and then quietly ask within the mind's eye, unless you don't care if there's people around listening, ask them, your body, why am I feeling stuck? Why am I feeling stressed? I kid you not, you will hear the answer. Most people will think it's a coincidence or they're crazy or whatever, or just yes or no questions. Your body will answer it.
The problem is, I think, like, well, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. And the reason why, like, I was always a bit of a skeptic, which really helped because I was more in like a research role when I was interested in this kind of stuff, and I was in the, just learning about it. And it helped because I did a lot of research. But the moment that I started to put the pieces together as a skeptic way back when was when I was talking to a naturopath. So naturopaths are, you as a nurse know that in the MD world, if you're not an MD, you're not a doctor, right? Like that's kind of like what everyone.
My sister-in-law's one in Southern Ontario, a naturopathic doctor.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? There's people that have this like blockage of like, oh, you're not a doctor because you're not an MD. I disagree. I see the value of all kinds of doctors and specialists. So already like going to a naturopath, it's like, oh, it's about, supplements and eating right. But what I wanted to point out was, first of all, I don't agree. I think they all have very different areas of specialty, and I do think that we can learn from non-traditional Western medicine. Like, no, sorry, like we need to like look outside the box. We are not the only people that practice medicine. So this ND was telling me that my body was telling me when it was hurting, not because of the foods that I was eating. So the foods that I were ingesting, the first thing you think of is like, oh, well, I'm not getting a stomach ache, so I must be fine. I must not be allergic, or I must digest it well. And she said, no, your body tells you in so many different ways. She's like, you get headaches, don't you? And I was like, how the hell would you know? Right. But like, she was right. I got headaches. She's like, do your wrists hurt? And I was like, pardon? And she's like, yeah. She's like, your joints tell you. So there are so many ways that your body communicates with you already in a day-to-day basis that we don't listen to, because we're very like, I don't want to say closed-minded, but like if you're eating something, you're thinking of, am I digesting it? And it's your stomach, but it's not just that. It's your headaches. It's, do you get dizzy? Do your joints hurt? Do you feel a lack of energy? Like all you have to do is listen. It's the same thing that you're saying with moving energy and taking a breather, taking the time to kind of breathe through what you're going through. You will know the answer. You just have to listen. And it's that part that I struggle with, is I don't know, is it just me talking to myself in my head, or am I actually receiving some information from my own?
Okay, so I'm going to help you with that. But first of all, what I want to say to you, one of the first things you learn in this field, and at first I used to be the same thing, like, what the heck does that mean? Mind, body, spirit, right? But it's true. Yeah. Connecting and having them all connected. Now, if you want to know that inner voice that we all have, whether it's ego, as we hear, and you can look up Freud and get into all this deep stuff, and you'll hear practitioners like myself that'll say, you got to banish the ego, get rid of the ego. Well, there is no way to get rid of the ego, first of all. So you embrace it all. That's
what makes us human. That's what makes us human.
There for a reason. That's why we have it.
Agreed. So, agreed.
As much as we want to banish it. So say you hear that inner voice, okay? Or maybe you ask yourself a question. And I always tell people, you have guides around you, you have angels, you have ascended masters, you have all kinds of beings, whether you know they're there or not, and whether you believe in them or not, they believe in you. So what I always teach people, first of all, is you want to know about these things, and what have you got to lose? That's what I always say. What have you got to lose? If something you're doing right now is not working and you are not getting the answers, what have you got to lose to give it a try? Like say something like this energy work, right? You're not going to be drinking poison. You're not going to be taking drugs, right? What have you got to lose?
Right.
So the way to tell the difference with this voice is set something out for yourself that, or say you give yourself a day and you're going to listen to everything that inner voice tells you. I mean, obviously, if it's crazy stuff, you're not like, I would hope nobody's inner voice is going to say, go run out in the middle of traffic. But you know what I mean?
Right. Those are called intrusive thoughts, and we all have them. So
we do. So thank you.
We all have them. We just need to think.
Okay. So where I'll go with this, say that inner voice is you're hearing a suggestion. It's not going to tell you to do something. It's going to give you a suggestion, but it's going to be meant maybe for your highest good or somebody else's highest good. Yeah. And it's going to be loving. Okay. So we're not going to be positive. Yeah. Positive. We're not going to be listening to intrusive thoughts, no. But that's what I'm saying. What if you gave yourself permission to just listen to that voice and see, and then take note of what you did. Okay. Take note of, because I guarantee you, especially if you ask for it, and you can just even think this, like, and I know it sounds crazy, but what have you got to lose, right? So you give yourself the permission to follow it, and you, even for an hour, if you want, and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then maybe the next day you give yourself permission. I'm not going to follow a thing that my inner voice tells me to do that's meant in the same way, positive way. And take note of the things that happen. Okay. And as you start to do this, you're going to start seeing things that are evidential proof, I call. And people are going to say, well, that was just coincidence. That was just this. That was just that. That was just a fluke. That was
right.
The more and more it happens, and the more and more you take note of it, the more and more you start realizing, something
I
little
also
different.
think, yeah, and I also think that there's a misunderstanding that these things happen without your control, and that's not true. And I love that you say that they give you suggestions because you still ultimately have to make the decision, right? So that
If
when I
something
say
tells you what to do, that's a
it's
concern. That's either your
yes,
ego or what. Mm-hmm.
yes. Well, I just mean that's how I sort of kind of figured it out on my own too, is if it just pops in my head and it's a viable
Yeah.
solution or whatever, but then I was like, oh, I was thinking of doing this, but oh, this sounds better. And then I do and make that decision. It's no longer like it's like a synchronicity, right? Like, could it be coincidence? If you believe in coincidences, sure. But it could also be you, your help, your spirits, whatever you want to call them, giving you those suggestions. But ultimately, it is up to you to listen. So that's what I mean by the listening part, is like not just hearing, because you don't hear it like you hear us talking. You just get the information, and it's up to you to listen, as into either follow through or make another decision. That's really great advice for somebody that's just kind of like dipping their toes in this. Then I was going to ask one more question, is because we have like 3 minutes here.
I know.
We could talk forever.
Day.
What if anybody's considering having their own business in this industry, what would be one piece of advice that you would give them?
One, do a lot of research, take a look at beyond. First of all, sit down with a plan and what do you hope to accomplish with this business? Who's your target audience? Who are you hoping to work with? Even if you're already starting things, but you're not quite really doing really well, you're kind of all over the place. What do you want to do? What's your goal? What's your mission statement? What do you hope to accomplish with this? And even though you may have a target audience, still take note of, say, if you're going live or you're doing things, take a look at what your dynamic of people that are there. Is it mostly male? Is it mostly female? And a lot of times you can get into stats and stuff with your social media apps, but take a look at who's listening to you.
Yeah.
Who's listening to you? What do they
Yeah.
want? From there, the other thing I would really suggest is do a lot of research. Take a look at a lot of people, especially my age group, don't realize the value of social media and what different areas are. Be careful with your name, because you know what, and I'm not crapping on anybody with this, but everybody's a coach nowadays.
I was just saying that the other day.
Everybody's a coach. Everybody's a coach.
I have, if anybody needs any referrals for people that I personally worked with, I have names of wonderful people that have actually helped me and my clients. So yes, there are a lot of people out there that are just starting. I am not a coach. I am somebody who strategizes and does, right? So I'm the planner and the doer. If you want advice on your business or whatever, I have a ton of people that I trust. But you're right. These days, everybody is a coach or everybody is a consultant, but no like concrete information on what you're consulting. And part of that is because people have a hard time niching down, right? This is why I'm saying your industry is already so particular. You are also able to niche down on some very specific services. So I think it's very smart what you said. Watch your audience, who's responding to what, and that's how you can put your offers in place. Right?
And be clear with yourself what you hope to accomplish with your business. Because I've really pared down now. Like, I do all these things at the beginning, and I used to have all these different offers for all these different things. No, I just offer an hour service here, or it's crystal Reiki, because I know I'm going to pull in all of those things.
That's right.
Anything could be pulled in during a session.
That's right.
Simplify.
So definitely, we call it niching down. You're 100% right. And that's really good advice for somebody like you who's already been in the business for so long. So this has been really great. We could talk forever, but unfortunately we have to wind down.
You're coming on my show, so we can talk more.
I know, we can talk more. So thank you so much for coming, Lorilei. You guys can find Lorilei on YouTube at The Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin, and you're also on Facebook at The Angel Rock, right?
I am, and I'll be live tonight here at 6:00. And I had a guest cancel, so we are having open discussion night. So we're gonna have lots of fun. We always do.
Amazing.
And I'd love to involve you as part of the audience. So thank you for having me.
I will be there. And can you remind us again when we can get? So this is the Angel Rock at 6 p.m. on Mondays Eastern time. When is your other show on?
The Thing at the Foot of the Bed is a new show. I had a concept I worked on with a good friend of mine that's a spiritual medium, and we answer many of the spiritual questions we talked about tonight, Thursday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everybody go follow, and you can get into contact with Lorilei through her Facebook page. If you have any questions about the services that she offers, I highly recommend. And thank you so much. We are going to see you guys next Monday. Thank you so much to the people in the chat room. A big thank you to the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network. And just a heads up, I believe there are the nominations are coming up. I forget what they're called. Lorilei, you'll probably know.
Are they for the podcast awards? Like for
I
the
think so.
People's Choice Podcast Awards, probably, yeah.
Yeah, we've been told to let everybody know that there's going to be nomination links going around for the podcast awards. If you guys like any of our shows on the network, please go ahead and vote. This will definitely help with our audience. So thanks again, and we will see you guys next Monday.
Thank you.